Eldin Husik shares his personal experience with customs and traditions in the Balkans. He's coming on the show now. Eldin, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm
Hi, how
doing
are you?
great.
All right. Well, can you talk about your culture and religion and how you experienced Ramadan and Eid in the former Yugoslavia, now Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Of course, I believe that the key word for Bosnian experience is sharing. Bosnia and Herzegovina represents a melting pot of cultures, religions as well. We have four major religions living within a relatively small space. So our main idea is radical acceptance. We accept everyone the way they are and we tend to share all our experiences together. So my favorite experiences during the Ramadan, at the end of Ramadan and the celebration was getting all my friends and going to a local mosque to get, candy or something like that, regardless of our religious backgrounds. So that was a beautiful experience. I always, cherish the memories that I have of that. So the key word to Ramadan in Bosnia and Herzegovina was sharing.
Yeah, sharing. Well, I mean, it's such a great word. And you and I we caught up this morning, and you mentioned the word hippie around things. Can you go into that a little bit too?
Well, just like in Christianity, you have so many different denominations. Within Islam, we also have several different strains of Islam. And I always call Bosnians the hippie Muslims.
The
In
hippie Muslims. Okay.
Yes, the Bosnia and Herzegovina is determined by culture, which is shared. So we are Bosnians first, and then we are Muslims or Roman Catholics or Orthodox Christians. Just like being a Canadian is almost more important than being anything else. So you're Canadian first, and then after that you may be, a religious person or not. So the beauty of coexisting within Bosnia and Herzegovina was the fact that we celebrated absolutely everything. I would go visit my friends' homes during, Christmases because we celebrate two Christmases, the old one and the new one, the two New Years, actually three New Years because Muslims have their own New Year. So there was celebrations always. The beautiful part of Ramadan is that the end of Ramadan celebration goes for 3 days. So during the first day of the celebration, usually you stay within your family. And then the second day you go to visit your other family members, and on the third day anything goes. So I believe that during those 3 days in Bosnia and Herzegovina, everybody is Muslim.
Can you tell me about Bosnian baklava
Uh,
and also explain what it is?
Well, the difference, I think there are different kinds of baklavas, just that there are different kinds of people practicing Islam. The difference between Bosnian baklava and the other baklava is, first of all, in size. Bosnian baklava is probably 3 or 4 times the size of regular baklavas that you would buy in Middle Eastern markets, and it's wet. It's juicy. So when you eat a Bosnian baklava, you're supposed to get messy. And that's kind of one of the favorite memories of most of my friends. They would always say, I can't wait for Ramadan so we can go visit, this and that person and have baklava. So the funny part would be that we would kind of assign Muslim names to our friends and then say, okay, today you're Amir or today you're Emir. So we would go to these places where there would be like a celebration of the end of Ramadan, and there would be so many people. So I would try to call out my friends by using their fake name. And of course, they wouldn't respond because they would have forgotten because they were too busy in eating baklavas and whatnot. So we would be calling each other, Emir, 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 and then finally, Zoran, and then they would turn around, and everybody would kind of turn around and realize what was going on. But nobody ever mind, nobody cared. That's the beautiful part of the Islam that was practiced in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was just radically accepted. I never learned how to pray until I was maybe 30 years old. So I would go to mosque and my friends would say, just do what we do and everything will be okay. Those are the memories that I cherish, sharing food with friends, sharing laughter, and just accepting each other. The moment you accept another person is the moment that person becomes your friend, not an enemy. Ignorance is the worst thing that can happen to us because ignorance leads to fear. And spending time with other people, sharing culture, sharing food, you realize that there is really no difference between Bosnian Muslims, Bosnian Roman Catholics, or Bosnian Orthodox Christians. We are exactly the same, and we all love Bosnian baklava.
You came to Canada in the 1990s, and you've lived in South Korea, and you're back here in Newfoundland and Labrador now. So these fond memories and these lessons that you learned as a younger person, how have they kind of continued to inform you over the years and in the different places that you've lived?
Well, I believe that we all have a starting point of our experience. My starting point was communism. I was raised to be a communist. My father was a member of Communist Party, so we never really talked about religion much in my home until the war that actually took place in the 90s. And then at some point, I remember when I was declaring myself in 1990s, I was in high school at the time. So someone asked me, "What religion are you?" I thought I was Yugoslav. It's like there's no such thing anymore. Yugoslavia broke apart, so now you have to be something. Well, I don't know. I'm Bosnian, but what kind of Bosnian are you? I just couldn't really choose one side. It has always been, to me, spirituality and culture is much more important than religion itself. I truly believe in something much higher than all of us, and I adhere to Islam in many ways. But I do believe that spirituality is something much stronger than all of us together. I think that we have more in common than we have that is different. And the differences should be cherished because we do have messages that we carry with us from generations and generations ago, and they are kind of embedded in our religion, in our culture. So it's important to observe, to celebrate. But in my opinion, after traveling the world for the past 40 something years, is that there is really no one way to skin the cat.
When it comes to when we talk about inclusivity, we talk about community. No matter like any community you look at, there's always different festivals, cultures, religions, faiths. And those people who don't really believe in anything spiritual, but all of it has to do with community. So from your childhood to your travels to living in other places and thinking now as we are in the final days leading up to Eid, what do you think could help in terms of this community here in and around Newfoundland and Labrador for continuing to build this community and this theme that you're talking about for understanding other people and just being close to other people?
Community is everything, of course. Living in St. John's, Newfoundland, you realize that more so than anywhere else. I lived in South Korea surrounded with millions of people and I felt sometimes alone. Versus here, you don't have that many people, but you are more so connected with the community and with the place itself. My message to anyone out there is to make an effort and try to make a new friend. Step outside of your own comfort zone because the longer you stay in your comfort zone, the more, I would say, ignorant, the more depressed you will be. So you have two choices: anxiety or depression. Stay home, watch the news, feel that everybody is against you, or go out, face your own anxiety, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, perhaps accept their points of view. They might be wrong, they might be right. We don't know whether we are right or wrong. The point is to share the world. In the words of Rumi, beyond right and wrong, there is a field, and I will meet you there. And I believe that we should meet in this field, all of us. Truly, people may practice one way or another way, but again, to me, the topic of radical acceptance is the key to surviving in these times. We must accept each other for whatever we are. There are different forms of Islam, there are different forms of Christianity. You're not going to agree with everyone, but you will never know what they really are about unless you engage yourself with them. And what better way to do is than to celebrate now the end of Ramadan with your friends, with your neighbors, with people who share your community. Just go out there, celebrate, have some sweets, say happy Eid, and enjoy yourself.
You can learn a little, live a little, love a little, have a great experience meeting and learning about someone else. And if you're really lucky, maybe you can find yourself some of that Bosnian baklava.
You have to be very lucky for that.